I've spent thousands of dollars buying cheap and expensive music gear, and to be honest, some of that expensive stuff I actually regret buying because it wasn't worth the large price tag. What's going on, everybody? I'm Fearless, and today we're looking at the main gear that pretty much every producer buys, and we're gonna talk about if the cheap or the expensive version is the right way to go. And guys, make sure to watch this video all the way through, because even if you miss one piece of gear, it could end up costing you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. And guys, remember that this is all my opinion. This is just the stuff that I figured out along my journey of spending tons of money on music gear. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. And also guys, everything is linked in the description below, along with a bunch of my other favorite studio gear that you're gonna wanna check out too. For instance, like my USB hub, my fastest mouse. Yeah, it's the world's fastest mouse. I have a mouse pad that covers pretty much my whole desk, which allows me to speed up my flow. And there's like tons of other stuff down there that you might want to check out too. And the first thing we're going to take a look at is the 1/4-inch speaker cables. And we're going to look at a regular pair versus the gold Mogami ones. And I'm going to be talking about these 1/4-inch cables as well as the XLR cables, because it's pretty much the same thing, same opinion. And, you know, it can be used in replace of each other. So why would you spend 6 times the price for a gold cable? Well, you get lower noise, which I believe is the impedance. You're going to get better sound clarity and accuracy, and it's going to last longer. But is it really worth it? And no, for most producers, it's really not worth it to spend the extra money on this. Unless you have like a super professional studio and you got your room acoustically treated and you just want the best of everything, you're not going to notice much of a difference by getting the gold cables. And if you're not going to be spending all that money for the gold ones, you might as well just get the cheapest ones possible, because it doesn't make any difference. Now let's talk about foam sound panels versus professional acoustic panels. Now foam ones, you can get a ton of them for like 50 to 100 bucks. And for acoustic panels, you can get like 6 to probably 10 of them for under $1,000. Like I got all 6 of mine for just above $600. And what's the difference between these? Well, for starters, the foam ones don't really work at all. So you're better off just hanging a thick blanket on the wall, to be honest. But if you get the acoustic ones, those are actually going to trap the noise like you want, and especially those bass tones, and stop the echoing in the room. And having these acoustic panels is going to allow you to cook up on your speakers and be confident in your mix. So is it worth it to go big and get the actual acoustic panels? Yes. Otherwise, just don't get anything, honestly. Just put some blankets on the wall or do something crazy, because if you buy those little crappy ones, you might as well just spend the extra money and get real ones. All right, now we're going to talk about some headphones. And the headphones I recommend are the Beyer Dynamic DT770 or 990, or the more expensive ones, the 1770, which actually are newer. They just came out in 2016, and they're the predecessor. They're the upgraded version of the 770s. So why would you spend the extra money for these upgraded ones? Well, because there's better sound detailing and you're going to hear more range of frequencies in the mix. They have the detachable cord, so if you want to use like a scrungy one or a straight one or use your own cord, you can do that and you don't have to worry if they break. And the build is just better quality. Like you get better head cushioning, better materials, and they look better too, actually. But is it worth it to spend that extra money? And I'd say yes and no. Because they definitely sound better for sure, but they're not going to make or break your mix, right? You can cook up with like earbuds, for instance, or like a beat pill or something ridiculous, and you can get a good mix. It doesn't matter how great your speakers or your earphones are. And we got some more crazy ones coming up here in just a second, but if you guys are enjoying this, please gently smash the like button so that other producers can save a ton of money and not buy expensive gear that's not going to get them further along in their career. Also, comment below, what's your favorite piece of music gear that you own? Now, the next one we're going to talk about is MIDI keyboards. And the two that I recommend are the Novation Mini keyboard or the MK2, the contact version. That's the newest one that I have. And you can either get one for $75 all the way up to about $800 for this new one that I paid. And yeah, that's a huge difference. So why would you pay more? Well, first off, it's way, way better build quality. It's not even close. I mean, my Novation Launch Key Mini, after a year or so, I accidentally broke off some of the keys and it just fell apart and became useless. Also, on the more expensive one, there is way more features. I mean, there's even dual screens on this thing that you can go ahead and control contact banks using. It's pretty dope. And this MK2 keyboard, out of all the other ones, is the best build that I've found. That's why I recommend the MK2 and not like some other brand. On top of that, this MK2 has a lot more keys, right? The Mini has like an octave or an octave and a half worth of keys, whereas this one, you can get it in different sizes, but the one I have is 61 keys, and you got enough. But is it worth it? And I'd say yes, if you want something that will last you for a super long time. But you should honestly ask yourself if you even need a MIDI keyboard. Like, do you plan on playing the piano, or do you know how to play the piano? Because those are definitely great reasons, but if you're just using it to cook up drums and maybe come up with ideas, your keyboard on your computer is really great at doing that, and honestly, a drum pad or something like that's going to be a lot better for your drums. Moving right along, we got to talk about audio interfaces next, and we got the classic duo here. We got the Focus, right, for $119 versus the Apollo Twin X. I have the quad version, which is a little bit beefier than just the duo, and it's $1,400 or something like that. So why would you pay more? Definitely better build quality, but the main thing is better sound, right? You can hear more in the mix with the Apollo, right? I mean, you're paying all that extra money, you better be able to hear something. Also, the Apollo has multiple inputs and outputs. It has a super dope looking interface. It looks cool, and the knobs are really high quality and awesome to use. And the UAD plugins that you have to have an interface, and I think they have a new program now where you can pay a monthly, but screw that. But you can get really dope plugins if you have one of these. You just gotta have one. So is it worth the money? And I'd say yes and no, because once again, like the headphones, this is not gonna make or break your beats. I mean, many hit records have been made on the Focus, right? And you can mix a beat on a beat pill, for instance. You don't have to have the best of the best. And yes, there is a way noticeable difference, trust me. So if you're looking to spend big money, the audio interface is the thing that I recommend the most to invest in, because obviously that's your mix. That's what the sound comes out of that accurately represents your mix the best. So if you got some money and you're a big baller and you want to spend it, that's the thing I would spend it on, but you don't need it when you're starting out. And now we're going to take a look at the monitors or speakers, whatever you want to call it. And I started off with the Rokit 5s, which are around $200 to $350, depending on what generation you get. But now I have the Kali Audio IN8s. And those are a little different because they're three-way speakers. So they're just in a whole new world. And those are about $600 together for the pair. So why would you pay more? Well, definitely better sound. Like, these have 3 speakers, and the third one is the bass tones, the mid bass tones, right? And another big difference between the two is the IN8s have a way flatter response, though you could sub out the Kali LP6s instead, like I was talking about, if you want a more flatter response for a cheaper price. The Rokits are more bass heavy and bass dominant. So it also depends, what are you going to use them for, right? Because the Rokits are going to sound better at a party. The Kalis are going to sound better when you're mixing. It's going to allow you to get a better mix. So do you want these just for mixing, or do you want them to party and listen to music to as well? So is it worth the money? This one is a resounding yes. There is a huge difference in the sound, especially since you have that third mid-tone speaker. But also you need to take into consideration, do you even have an acoustically treated room? Because you might just be better off with headphones anyways, because if you don't have an acoustically treated room, you're not going to get the best sound out of these if it's bouncing all over the walls and shit's going crazy. All right, guys, and whatever decision you end up making when you're getting gear, you don't have to be worried about, because ultimately it's all going to be fine in the end. Because guess what? The good thing is all you have to do is learn the system that you're using, what you're hearing it out of, and you'll be able to get a good mix anyways. And even if you have every piece of music gear in the world, you're still going to need some software plugins in your DAW to make better beats. So if you want to see all the best free ones, go ahead and check out this video right here where I break them all down. You got to have those ones, man. They're free and they're goated for sure. And guys, always remember that consistency is the greatest catalyst for success. So all you have to do is show up every single day with a positive mentality, and everything in this world is yours for the taking. Peace.